Although the African continent has about 25% disease burden, which is the highest globally, the level of clinical trial investment on the continent remains minimum at about 2%.
At this point in time, Africa is mainly the place where medication or devices or products reach last. But I think it's important for the research to be done here to be responsive to African populations. I think the field of pharmacogenetics is showing that different ethnicities respond differently to different drugs. And I think it's going to be quite important to conduct research in Africa so that the research is responsive to the health needs and to the populations of Africa.
The question was, why is it that our sponsors are not willing or do not find Africa a good space for them to conduct their clinical trials? If we can create a community, an online platform that is easy for people, one, to identify where the clinical trial sites are, to find clinical trialists that have the same interest as themselves, and also to provide them with information about our regulatory timelines and ethics and review boards, then it will make it much easier for them to make the decisions to come to the continent.
It is very important clinical trials are done in Africa because, as you already know, Africa is mostly affected by poverty-related diseases more than any other continent. The interventions that we use mostly to cure or treat diseases that affect Africans mostly, these were developed elsewhere, outside Africa.
When you have a clinical trial platform that allows for a collection or a database, it allows us to figure out who is doing what and possibly to avoid duplication. And if you avoid duplication in your funding, you may be able to save that funding and save it for something else that might be quite important to research.
There's going to be quite a lot of information on the platform, information about sites, about the experience that sites have, about the areas of clinical trials that sites are involved in. And that means that it will be much easier for there to be engagement between sites and the sponsor and the funders.
There's a lot of information, valuable information in there for pharmaceutical companies that want to sponsor clinical trials. You have the investigational information, which is of course very important to look at previous experience, the level of clinical trials that they have been executing in the past. The clinical trial platform will provide valuable information that we as a sponsor of clinical trials need to know. Interaction between the different partners that are involved in the execution of clinical trials is critical, and as such this platform with the social module that will be included will be an essential part to help making that happen.
By creating this platform, we would like to change that by increasing the visibility of the sites and the clinical trialists on the continent so that we can increase the investment and change that 2% to something bigger. If we can have 15% of the clinical trials being conducted on the African continent, that would be a great success.